Um, I don't know. Obviously, for me, since my first NBA Finals appearance, I think in 2007, the moment I got an opportunity to be a part of that and taste that feeling, from there on, every season that I did not make it to the finals or did not win a championship has been a disappointment.
LeBron James is one of the greatest players who ever stepped onto the court, but he didn't just dominate eras, he survived them. Before he ever stepped onto an NBA court, LeBron carried the weight of prophecy. The chosen one, they called him. Drafted first overall in 2003 straight out of high school, he wasn't just expected to be good, he was expected to be a savior, a phenomenon, a once-in-a-generation force who would redefine basketball itself. And over the next 2 decades, he didn't just live up to the hype, he obliterated it. 4-time NBA champion, 4-time MVP, the all-time leading scorer in league history, 10 NBA Finals appearances, 21 All-Star selections. His resume isn't just elite, it's biblical. But here's the thing about greatness. It's never built in a vacuum. LeBron's legacy was forged in fire, tested by eras, humbled by defeats, and sharpened by the kind of competition that leaves scars on your soul. From those brutal early years in Cleveland to the super team wars in Miami, the Hollywood pressure in LA, and the impossible grind of year 21. Picture this, a young king walking into TD Garden, 2008, the big three Celtics waiting, Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, all staring him down like he owes them money. That wasn't just basketball, that was survival. LeBron faced a revolving door of nightmare. Some were quick and loud, others were silent assassins. A few pushed him to transcendence, and a rare handful, they made him question if being great was enough. Across 3 decades and multiple generations, he battled legends, Duncan's fundamentals, Dirk's fadeaway, Kawhi's clamps, Steph's range. But there were 6 names that didn't just challenge him, they haunted him, made him feel every drive, every switch, every mistake. These weren't just players, they were problems, riddles wrapped in basketball uniforms. This isn't about career stats or friendly handshakes. This is about blood, sweat, and the moments that define legends. The 6 names that still echo in LeBron's memory, not as rivals, but as mountains he had to climb, and sometimes couldn't. Let's break down the 6 toughest players LeBron James has ever faced. But before proceeding, please take a second and subscribe and like this video, it will be very motivation for us. There's a reason LeBron James once said, Kevin Durant is one of the most dangerous players I've ever faced. That wasn't flattery, it was recognition. Because when it came to KD, LeBron wasn't battling another star. He was facing a 7-foot anomaly, a scoring machine with guard skills, elite range, and the kind of shot making that could dismantle even the smartest defense. From the moment Durant entered the league, the comparisons began. Slim Reaper versus the King. And while LeBron had the edge early, shutting down a young KD in the 2012 finals, that loss would sit with Durant for years. He wasn't just outplayed, he was denied, and he never forgot. 5 years later, Durant returned with vengeance, backed by a Golden State juggernaut that changed the balance of power in the league. And this time, it was LeBron who had to survive. In the 2017 finals, Durant averaged 35.2 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 5.4 assists, on an absurd 55.6% from the field, 47.4% from 3, and 92.7% from the line. He wasn't just scoring, he was dissecting. Game 3, that iconic pull-up 3 in LeBron's face with 45 seconds left. A dagger that sealed the game, the series, and Durant's place in finals history. And it didn't stop. In 2018, Durant followed with another finals MVP, averaging 28.8 points, 10.8 rebounds, and 7.5 assists in a sweep. LeBron dropped 51 in Game 1 and still lost, because Durant, once again, was the answer to a question no one could solve. What made KD so lethal wasn't just his stats, it was his efficiency. Every touch felt calculated, no wasted motion, no panic, just elevation, release, and silence. For LeBron, who studied every tendency, watched every clip, it was maddening. You could close the gap, get a hand up, time it perfectly, and it didn't matter. The shot still went down. That's why LeBron once said, KD is a big-time player, and he's shown it year after year. Not many opponents get that level of respect, but Durant earned it. Not with talk, not with theatrics, just buckets, cold, clinical, and constant. Kevin Durant didn't beat LeBron with brute strength or system manipulation. He beat him with shot-making that ignored defense, with confidence that never wavered, and with performances that rewrote what toughest even looked like. For LeBron James, a player who prided himself on control, Kevin Durant was the rare opponent who made him feel powerless. And that, more than any stat sheet, is why Durant makes the list. Some of LeBron's most exhausting matchups didn't come from loudmouths, highlight chasers, or MVPs. They came from someone who barely spoke. Kawhi Leonard didn't posture, didn't provoke, but when it came to guarding LeBron, few ever made it feel more suffocating. Their paths first crossed in the 2013 NBA Finals. LeBron and the Heat were the defending champions. Kawhi was still finding his place, a second-year player known more for his defense and rebounding than superstardom. He wasn't guarding LeBron full-time that year, but he showed flashes. Quick hands, strong hips, no panic. It wasn't a rivalry yet, but it was the start of something. The real war came 1 year later. 2014 Finals, Spurs versus Heat, Round 2. And this time, Leonard wasn't just part of the machine, he was the engine. Game after game, he blanketed LeBron with physical, disciplined defense. No gambling, no lunges, just pressure. Steady, silent pressure. LeBron still got his numbers. 28.2 points, 7.8 rebounds, 4 assists on 57% shooting. But if you watched those games, you saw it. The hesitation, the frustration, the sense that Kawhi was always nearby, always one rotation ahead, always a step in the way. In Game 3, Leonard erupted for 29 points, guarded LeBron all night, and shifted the series momentum. By Game 5, he was Finals MVP at just 22 years old, the youngest to win it since Magic Johnson. It wasn't just the stat sheet, it was the impact. The way he turned Miami's offense sideways, the way he dictated tempo without saying a word. Even Greg Popovich, when asked what changed the series, simply said, Kawhi Leonard. LeBron, for his part, never underestimated him. LeBron has publicly acknowledged Kawhi's strength, length, and discipline. And then came 2019. LeBron was now with the Lakers, Kawhi with the Raptors, put together one of the greatest playoff runs in modern memory, hitting the game winner over Embiid, outdueling Giannis, and then leading Toronto to a championship over a battered Warriors team. He was no longer a defensive stopper. He was a one-man system. And when Kawhi signed with the Clippers in the summer of 2019, spurning the Lakers, setting up camp across the hall at Staples Center, it felt intentional. Not announced, not boasted, but intentional. He didn't need to say, I'm coming for LeBron. The league said it for him. The headlines called it a city split in half. Nike billboards vanished. New Balance ones popped up saying, King of the North. The media built the rivalry. Kawhi just showed up. What makes him one of LeBron's toughest opponents isn't just the defense or the titles or the Finals MVP. It's the calm, the certainty, the sense that Kawhi would never flinch, no matter how loud the moment got. He wasn't trying to beat LeBron. He was trying to erase him from the equation. And for stretches of time, he did. Stephen Curry wasn't the tallest opponent LeBron James ever faced. He wasn't the strongest either. But when it came to changing the way basketball itself was played, Curry stood alone. And for LeBron, that made him one of the toughest challenges of his career. Their rivalry defined an era. 4 straight finals matchups from 2015 to 2018. No two players crossed paths on that stage more often in the modern NBA. And every series forced LeBron to confront a new kind of threat, one built not on size or brute force, but on range, rhythm, and relentlessness. In 2015, LeBron carried a Cleveland team missing Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. He averaged an astonishing 35.8 points, 13.3 rebounds, and 8.8 assists across 6 games, leading both teams in all 3 categories. Yet Curry and the Warriors, with their pace and spacing, wore the Cavs down. Golden State had depth. Cleveland didn't. Curry didn't win Finals MVP, but his shot-making and constant movement cracked open the series. 2016 flipped the script. Curry became the league's first unanimous MVP. The Warriors won 73 games, the best record in history. And when Golden State went up 3-1 in the finals, the dynasty looked unstoppable. But LeBron responded with the greatest comeback basketball had ever seen. He strung together back-to-back 41-point games, chased down Curry's layup attempt in Game 6, and in Game 7, sealed the title with the block. For one summer, LeBron wrestled control of the rivalry back. But in 2017, everything changed. Golden State added Kevin Durant. Now Curry had a superstar running mate who bent defenses in ways even LeBron couldn't fully counter. With the attention split, Curry flourished. He averaged 26.8 points, 9.4 assists, and 8 rebounds in the finals, shooting nearly 44% from deep. LeBron answered with a finals triple-double, 33.6 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists per game. But the Cavaliers fell in 5. It wasn't that LeBron failed. It was that the Warriors' firepower overwhelmed even his brilliance. The following year, 2018, brought more of the same. Cleveland entered outmatched, and Golden State finished a sweep. LeBron opened the series with a legendary 51-point performance in Game 1, one of the best finals games ever played, but Curry broke records of his own, hitting a finals record 9 three-pointers in Game 2. The gap wasn't effort, it was arsenal. What makes Curry so dangerous isn't just the numbers. It's the way he pressures defenses without touching the ball, the way he runs through screens, pulls defenders to half court, and forces stars like LeBron to cover impossible ground. As LeBron once said, Curry is a once-in-a-lifetime basketball player, someone who changes the geometry of the game. That's the heart of it. Against Curry, no lead was ever safe. 10 points could evaporate in a minute. A defensive plan could collapse in a single possession. And for a player like LeBron, who built his career on control and precision, Curry was the rare opponent who made control feel fragile. LeBron didn't lose those series because he wasn't great enough. He lost because Curry and the Warriors stretched the game into a place even legends had to chase. And that's why Steph earns his place on LeBron's list. Not as the biggest, but as one of the most disruptive forces he ever faced. Before LeBron James ever held an NBA trophy, before the titles, the MVPs, or the parades, he ran into a man who made greatness look effortless. Tim Duncan. In 2007, LeBron had just carried a young Cavaliers team to the NBA Finals, a feat many called miraculous. He was 22. His second-best teammate was probably Larry Hughes. They had no business getting that far, but there they were. 4 wins from glory, and standing in their way was the San Antonio Spurs. Not just Duncan, Popovich, Parker, Ginobili. But make no mistake, the system revolved around one man. Duncan didn't outscore LeBron. He didn't chase him around the court. He didn't need to. He beat him with angles, discipline, and the kind of basketball IQ that doesn't show up on highlight reels. It was a 4-0 sweep. The kind that doesn't just end a series, it leaves a scar. LeBron later said that finals was a basketball lesson, and Tim Duncan was the professor, but Duncan didn't mock him, didn't flex. In fact, after Game 1, he sought LeBron out in the tunnel, put a hand on his shoulder and said, "This is going to be your league soon, but I appreciate you giving us this year." That wasn't trash talk, it was a prophecy. Years passed, LeBron grew, he joined Miami, won titles, became the best player in the world. And in 2013, Duncan returned, this time chasing his 5th ring. The 2013 finals were a chess match, LeBron at his peak, Duncan chasing legacy. In Game 6, Duncan dropped 25 points and 8 rebounds, nearly sealing the series, but Ray Allen hit that shot. Miami survived. In Game 7, Duncan missed a short hook shot late in the 4th, a shot he'd made 1,000 times before. The Heat escaped. LeBron won Finals MVP. Duncan walked off stone-faced. No tantrum, no complaints, just class. But he wasn't done. 2014 was revenge. The Spurs dismantled Miami with surgical precision, a 5-game masterpiece. Duncan didn't care about outscoring LeBron. He cared about systems working, about ball movement, spacing, patience. San Antonio made 60 passes to find one good shot, and Duncan, he led with presence, averaged 15.4 points, 10 rebounds, and played defense like a man who still remembered 2007 and wanted to close the book. LeBron later said, "That was the best basketball team I've ever faced," and Duncan was the soul of it. Tim wasn't flashy, he didn't go viral, but he was relentless. In 19 seasons, his teams won 50-plus games in every full year he played. He was a 3-time Finals MVP, 2-time League MVP, and 5-time champion. And maybe most important, he beat LeBron twice on the game's biggest stage and never once made it personal. That's what made him so tough. Not his size, not his speed, his consistency, his humility, his ability to make every mistake feel fatal. Against Duncan, you didn't just face a legend, you faced a standard. Paul George wasn't supposed to be that guy. When LeBron James formed the Big Three in Miami, the league braced for dominance. Not a dogfight from the Indiana Pacers, but Paul George had other plans. And for 2 straight postseasons, he turned what should have been a formality into a war. What made George so tough wasn't just skill, it was his audacity. He wasn't scared of the moment, didn't shrink under the lights. He stepped into LeBron's path when few dared to. Their rivalry ignited in 2012, but 2013 was where it exploded. Eastern Conference Finals, Miami versus Indiana, LeBron versus Paul George in his first year as an All-Star. And he didn't flinch. George averaged 19.4 points, 6.0 rebounds, 5.1 assists, and 1.3 steals per game in that series, while guarding LeBron nearly every possession. He was 23 years old, defending the best player in the world, and still found energy to drop clutch buckets. In Game 2, he delivered a 32-foot three-pointer to force overtime, then stared down the Heat bench like he wasn't supposed to be scared. In Game 4, he scored 23 points, hit all 11 of his free throws, and helped tie the series 2-2. And in Game 4-6, facing elimination, he exploded for 28 points and 8 rebounds on over 50% shooting, to push it to a Game 7. That Game 7, Miami pulled away late, winning 99-76, but George still logged 15 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and stayed glued to LeBron defensively. The score didn't reflect the grind, and George's ability to make LeBron work for everything. Even LeBron acknowledged it. He called George one of the toughest young competitors in the league and praised his two-way effort, chasing shooters, bodying up stars, and never asking out. And then, just when it looked like George was rising into superstardom, disaster struck. In 2014, he suffered a horrific compound leg fracture during a Team USA scrimmage. A clean break, visible, career-threatening. Some said he'd never be the same. But LeBron wasn't one of them. He tweeted his support the same night, called George a warrior. And deep down, he likely knew the Eastern Conference just got easier. But George came back, slowly, quietly. And by 2019, he was back on the All-NBA first team, averaging 28.0 points, 8.2 rebounds, 4.1 assists, and finishing third in MVP voting with the Thunder. He was relentless, a perimeter defender with elite touch, length, and underrated strength. And when he joined the Clippers alongside Kawhi, it felt like the rivalry was reborn, now in Los Angeles, now for the Western Crown. LeBron and George met again in the 2020 bubble playoffs. Though they didn't face off directly, the paths were aligned. The tension was still there, the unspoken respect hadn't faded. Paul George may not have rings to flash. He doesn't dominate highlight reels or jersey sales. But when LeBron thinks about the guys who pushed him, who hounded him across 94 feet, and then came back for more the next night, Paul George is right there, not because he won the most, but because he never acted like he was supposed to lose. There's defeat, and then there's the kind that rewrites your career. In 2011, LeBron James entered the NBA Finals under the brightest spotlight of his life. Miami had just formed the Big Three. The league, the media, even LeBron himself talked about not one, not two, not three championships. The stage was set for dominance. And then came Dirk. No super team, no flash, no theatrics. Just a 7-foot, one-man surgical unit running on fundamentals, finesse, and fire. In a series where everything tilted toward Miami, Dirk Nowitzki didn't just pull off an upset. He dismantled the narrative. He averaged 26 points and nearly 10 rebounds per game across those 6 games, but the numbers don't capture the weight of his performance. Game 2, with a torn tendon in his left middle finger, Dirk drove past Chris Bosh for the game-winning layup. Game 4, running a 102-degree fever, he dropped 21 points, including a clutch left-handed layup late, and willed the Mavs to even the series. He didn't talk trash, didn't point to the sky, just grabbed the ball and went back to work. And on the other end, LeBron averaged just 17.8 points per game, the lowest finals scoring mark of his career. The Mavericks ran tight zones, cut off transition lanes, and forced Miami's stars to hesitate. But Dirk, he never blinked. He took apart their defense piece by piece. Every high-arching fadeaway, every one-legged step back over Udonis Haslem or Bosh. It chipped away at the Heat's swagger. It wasn't dominance through explosion. It was erosion through excellence. LeBron would later call that series the lowest point of his professional life. And that wasn't just about the loss. It was about who delivered it, because Dirk wasn't supposed to win. And yet he did. Without headlines, without hype, just sweat, silence, and shot-making. Years later, when Dirk made his final stop in Cleveland, LeBron crossed the court and bowed his head in respect. No words, just acknowledgement, because greatness recognizes greatness. Dirk didn't chase the crown. He took it quietly, definitively, and walked off with one of the most earned titles in NBA history. To LeBron, that wasn't just tough. That was unforgettable. If you liked this one, don't miss my next video. Magic Johnson names his 6 toughest basketball players. Please do not forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. It will be great for us.